Good morning, students. Today I am going to just read out a chapter for you. This chapter is from your reader book, and this is your book Stairway, Headword Stairway, and this is grade 8, chapter 13, Idgah. All right, and I would just read out this chapter because there are times when there is no one to help you out with your reading, so I'm going to just read it out the best possible way, and you can practice along with it because during this time, like the online classes and all, your reading is really suffering. So I want you to practice your reading, and here is this video uploaded just for helping you out. Okay. So the ideal way is to take your book along while I'm reading out and place your index finger wherever I am reading. So you can just listen to one stanza or maybe one or two lines, and then you can pause the video and then you can speak your lines the way you want, right? So basically, this is the ideal way to practice reading when nobody is around, and you don't have to look into the video. Don't be gentle to your eyes and take care of your eyes. You don't have to look into it. You have to just put your earplugs on, listen to the words carefully, pronounce the words carefully, listen how the teacher is speaking out the words, and then try to copy it. Later on, you can have your own style, but presently, you should just listen to the teacher and try to imitate her, okay? And there is the perfect way is that you just sit with your book, place your index finger under the line which somebody is reading out, I am reading out, you are reading out, okay? And one more thing, go really very slow. It's very important to go really slow because when we are new readers or when we are excited with our reading, we make mistakes, okay? And when we are going really slow, it's like hardly any chance that we make a mistake, okay? So now we are just starting, okay? Okay, chapter 13, Idgah. Time to start. Grandparents are an important part of our lives, aren't they? Do you always expect your grandparents to take care of you, or do you also do your bit for them? List the ways in which you help your grandparents. Or, if you don't have them in your life, think of the ways in which you would have helped them. Now, let's read about a little boy Hamid and his selfless act of love towards his poor and old grandmother. A full 30 days after Ramadan comes Eid. How wonderful and beautiful is the morning of Eid! The trees look greener, the fields more festive, the sky has a lovely pink glow. Look at the sun. It comes up brighter and more dazzling than before to wish the world a very happy Eid. The village is agog with excitement. Everyone is up early to go to the Idgah mosque. I'm sorry. It is a good 3 miles from the village. There will also be hundreds of people to greet and chat with. They would certainly not be finished before midday. The boys are more excited than the others. Some of them kept only one fast, and that only till noon. Some didn't even do that, but no one can deny them the joy of going to the Eidgah. Fasting is for the grown ups and the aged. For the boys, it is only the day of Eid. They have been talking about it all the time. At long last, the day has come, and now they are impatient with the people not hurrying up, for not hurrying up. They have no concern with things that have to be done. The happiest of the boys is Hamid. He is only 4, poorly dressed, thin, famished looking. His father died last year of cholera. Then his mother wasted away, and without anyone finding out what had ailed her, she also died. Now, Hamid sleeps in Granny Amina's lap and is as happy as a lark. She tells him that his father has gone to earn money and will return with sackloads of silver, and that his mother has gone to Allah to get lovely gifts for him. This makes Hamid very happy. It is great to live on hope. For a child, there is nothing like hope. A child's imagination can turn a mustard seed into a mountain. Hamid has no shoes on his feet. The cap on his head is soiled and tattered. Its gold thread has turned black. Nevertheless, Hamid is happy. He knows that when his father comes back with sacks full of silver and his mother with gifts from Allah, he will be able to fulfill his heart's desires. Then he will have more than Mahmoud, Mohsin, Noori, and Sami. This was page number 103. Now we are turning to page number 104. In her hovel, the unfortunate Amina sheds bitter tears. It is Eid, and she does not even have a handful of grain. Only if her Abid were here, there, it would have been a different kind of Eid. Hamid goes to his grandmother and says, Granny, don't you fret over me. I'll be the first to get back, don't worry. Amina is sad. Other boys are going out with their fathers. She is the only father Hamid has. How can she let him go to the fair all by himself? What if he gets lost in the crowd? No, she must not lose her precious little soul. How can he walk 3 miles? He doesn't even have a pair of shoes. He'll get blisters on his feet. If she went along with him, she could pick him up now and then. But then, who would be there to cook the vermicelli? If she had the money, she could have brought the ingredients on the way back and quickly made the pudding. In the village, it would take her many hours to get everything. The only way out was to ask someone for them. The villagers leave in one party. With the boys is Hamid. They run on ahead of the elders and wait for them under a tree. Why do the oldies drag their feet? And Hamid is like one with the wings on his feet. How could anyone think he would get tired? They reach the suburbs of the town. On both sides of the road are mansions of the rich, enclosed all around by thick, high walls. In the gardens, mango and lychee trees are laden with fruit. A boy hurls a stone at a mango tree. The gardener rushes out, screaming abuses at them, but then the boys are furlongs out of his reach and roaring with laughter. So we proceed to the stores of the sweet meat vendors, all so gaily decorated. Who can eat all these delicacies? Just look. Every store has them piled up in mountain heaps. For village children, everything in the town is strange. Whatever catches their eye, they stand and gape at it with wonder. Cars hoot frantically to get them out of the way, but they couldn't care less. Hamid is nearly run over by a car. At long last, the Idgah comes in view. Above it are massive tamarind trees casting their shade on the cemented floor on which carpets have been spread, and there are row upon row of worshippers as far as the eye can see, spilling well beyond the mosque courtyard. Newcomers line themselves behind the others. Here, neither wealth nor status matters because, in the eyes of Islam, all men are equal. Our villagers wash their hands and feet, make their own line behind the others. What a beautiful, heart moving sight it is! What perfect coordination of movements! 100,000 heads bow together in prayer, and then all together they stand erect, bow down, and sit on their knees. Many times they repeat these movements, exactly as if 100,000 electric bulbs were switched on and off at the same time again and again. What a wonderful spectacle it is! The prayer is over. Men embrace each other. They descend on the sweet and toy vendors' stores like an army moving to an assault. In this matter, the grown up rustic is no less eager than the boys. Look, here is a swing. Pay a pice and enjoy riding up to the heavens and then plummeting down to the earth. And here is the roundabout strung with wooden elephants, horses, and camels. Pay one pice and have 25 rounds of fun. Mahmood and Mohsin and Noori and other boys mount the horses and camels. Hamid watches them from a distance. All he has are 3 pice. He couldn't afford to part with a third of his treasure for a few miserable rounds. Now, this was page number 104, and now we come to the next page 105. They are finished with the roundabouts. Now it is time for the toys. There is a row of stalls on one side with all kinds of toys: soldiers and milkmaids, kings and ministers, water carriers and washerwomen, and holy men. Splendid display. How lifelike! All they need are tongues to speak. Mahmoud buys a policeman in khaki with a red turban on his head and a gun on his shoulder. Mohsin likes the water carrier with his back bent under the weight of the water bag. Noori has fallen for the lawyer. What an expression of learning he has on his face. A black gown over a long white coat with a with a white coat with a gold watch chain going into a pocket. A fat volume of some law book in his hand. It appears as if he has just finished arguing a case in the court of law. These toys cost 2 pice each. All Hamid has are 3 pice. How can he afford to buy such expensive toys? If they dropped out of his hand, they would be smashed to bits. If drop of water fell on them, the paint would run. What would he do with the toys like this? These? They'd be of no use to him. Hamid pooh-poos their toys. They're made of clay. One fall and they'll break in pieces. But his eyes look at them hungrily, and he wishes he could hold them in his hands for just a moment or two. His hands stretch without his wanting to stretch them. But young boys are not givers, particularly when it is something new. Poor Hamid doesn't get to touch the toys. After the toys, it is sweets. Someone buys sesame seed candy, others gulab jamuns or halwa. They smack their lips with relish. Only Hamid is left out. The luckless boy has at least 3 pies. Why doesn't he also buy something to eat? He looks with hungry eyes at the others. Mohsin says, Hamid, take this sesame candy. It smells good. Hamid suspects it is a cruel joke. He knows Mohsin doesn't have so big a heart. But knowing this, Hamid goes to Mohsin. Mohsin takes a piece out of his leaf wrap and holds it towards Hamid. Hamid stretches out his hand. Mohsin puts the candy in his own mouth. Mahmoud, Noori, and Sammy clap their hands with glee and have a jolly good laugh. Hamid is crestfallen. Mohsin says, This time I will let you have it. I swear by Allah, I'll give it to you. Come and take it. So, this was page number 105, and now we come to page number 106. Hamid replies, You keep your sweets. Don't I have the money? I know what this clever fellow is up to, says Mahmoud. When we have all spent our money, he'll buy sweets and tease us. After the sweet vendors, there are a few hardware stores of shops of real and artificial jewelry. There's nothing there to attract the boys' attention, so they go ahead, all of them except Hamid, who stops to see a pile of tongs. It occurs to him that his granny doesn't have a pair of tongs. Each time she bakes chapatis, the iron plate burns her hands. If he were to buy her a pair of tongs, she would be very pleased. She would never burn her fingers. It would be a useful thing to have in the house. What use are toys? They're a waste of money. You can have some fun with them, but only for a very short time. Then you forget all about them. Hamid's friends have gone ahead. They are at a stall drinking sharbat. How selfish are they? They bought so many sweets but did not give him one. And then they want him to play with them. They want him to do odd jobs for them. Hamid asks the shopkeeper, "How much for this pair of tongs?" The shopkeeper looks at him, seeing no older person with him, replies, "It's not for you." "Is it for sale or not?" "Why should it not be for sale? Why else should I have bothered to bring it here?" Why then do you don't tell me how much it is?" "It will cost you 6 pice." Hamid's heart sinks. "Let me have the correct price." "All right, it will be 5 pice. Bottom price. Take it or leave it." Hamid steals his heart and says, "Will you give it to me for 3?" and proceeds to walk away lest the shopkeeper screams at him. But the shopkeeper does not scream. On the contrary, he calls Hamid back and gives him the pair of tongs. Hamid carries it on his shoulder as if it were a gun and struts up proudly to show it to his friends. Let us hear what they have to say. Mohsin laughs and says, "Are you crazy? What will you do with the tongs?" Hamid flings the tongs on the ground and replies, "Try and throw your water carrier on the ground. Every bone in his body will break." Mahmud says, "Are these tongs some kind of toy?" "Why not?" retorts Hamid. "Place them across your shoulders, and it is a gun. Wield them in your hands, and it is like the tongs carried by singing mendicants. They can make the same clanging as a pair of cymbals. One smack, and they'll reduce all your toys to dust. And much as your toys may try, they could not bend a hair on the head of my tongs. My tongs are like a brave tiger." Sammy, who had bought a small tambourine, asks, "Will you exchange them for my tambourine?" "It is worth 8 pice." Hamid pretends not to look at the tambourine. "My tongs, if they wanted to, could tear out the bowels of your tambourine. All it has is a leather skin, and all it can say is thup thup. A drop of water could silence it forever. My brave pair of tongs can weather water and storms without budging an inch." So, this was page number 106, and this is going to be the last second page of the chapter, page number 107. The pair of tongs wins over everyone to its side. But now no one has any money left, and the fairground has been left far behind. It is well past 9 a.m., and the sun is getting hotter every minute. Everyone is in a hurry to get home. Even if they talked their fathers into it, they could not get the tongs. This Hamid is a bit of rascal. He saved up his money for the tongs. The others have spent between 12 to 16 pice each and bought nothing worthwhile. Hamid's 3 pice worth has carried the day, and no one can deny that toys are unreliable things. They break, while Hamid's tongs will remain as they are for years. The boys begin to make terms of peace. Mohsin says, "Give me your tongs for a while. You can have my water carrier for the same." Both Mahmoud and Nouri similarly offer their toys. Hamid has no hesitation in agreeing to these terms. The tongs pass from one hand to another, and the toys are in turn handed to Hamid. How lovely they are! Hamid tries to wipe the tears of his defeated adversaries. "I was simply pulling your leg." "Honestly, I was." "How can these tongs made of iron compare with your toys?" Mohsin says. "No one will bless us for these toys." Mahmoud adds, "You talk of blessings, we may get a thrashing instead. My Amma is bound to say, 'Are these earthen toys all that you could find at the fair?'" Hamid has to concede that no mother will be as pleased with the toys as his granny will be when she sees the tongs. All he has was 3 pice, and he has no reason to regret the way he has spent them. And now his tongs are the champion of India and king of toys. As soon as she heard his voice, Granny Amina ran out of the house, picked him up, and kissed him. Suddenly, she noticed the tongs in his hand. "Where did you find these tongs?" "I bought them." "How much did you pay for them?" 3 pice. Granny Amina beat her breast. "You're a stupid child. It is almost noon, and you haven't had anything to eat or drink. And what do you buy? Tongs?" Couldn't you find anything better in the fair than this pair of tongs? Iron tongs? Hamid replied in injured tones. You burn your fingers on the iron plate. This is why I bought them. The old woman's temper suddenly changed to love, not the kind of calculated love which based away in spoken words. This love was mute, solid, and steeped with tenderness. What a selfless child. So, this was page number 107, and we come to the last page of the chapter, that is page number 108. What concern for others? What a big heart. How he must have suffered seeing other boys buying toys and gobbling sweets. How was he able to suppress his own feelings? Even at the fair, he thought of his old grandmother. Granny Amina's heart was too full for words. And the strangest thing happened. Stranger than the part played by the tongs was the role of Hamid, the child, playing Hamid, the old man. And the old granny Amina became Amina, the little girl. She broke down. She spread her apron and beseeched Allah's blessings for her grandchild. Big tears fell from her eyes. How was Hamid to understand what was going on inside her? So, this is all about this chapter. If you want me to do some other chapter, let me know.